G'day and welcome to the Inforunners. I'm Execute. Today I'm joined by Osiris, mate. How you doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm a little bit more refreshed than I was in the last 24 hours. I've had a bit of a really bad state of insomnia, as probably people have seen that follow the different shows I do this week. So, a bit of a rush, but I'm a little bit better now. I've had some sleep. Um, we actually were meant to be joined by a special guest today, but due to some timing conflictions, we've had them go by the wayside. So we'll see if we can get them.
Soon, TM.
Yeah, on the next time around. So me and Osiris kind of changed a little bit what we're going to do today, and then we kind of went, well, let's let like everyone else has kind of talked about CitizenCon and what to expect, and I thought we could, we sometimes have a bit of a different insight, so that's what I want to talk about today. And I think the other thing we can probably add to this that we've talked about in the past is what they could have done. Is this a missed opportunity? Is something that I'm just going to throw in there too, as well as Cyrus. And I think we'll start out with what we kind of. Actually, I think we should talk about the experience first. Now I think about it. So, what do you think they could have done this year differently?
Well, it's hard to say as it has not happened yet, and we don't 100% know what they're going to do. But it's weird that it's what, a week from today or a week
Yeah,
from the date of this recording, and I haven't seen any big announcements about what we can expect. So there's a lot of questions at this point about what the scope of the event is going to be. What I think it's probably going to entail is more lore posts and maybe some videos and stuff along those lines, just
I,
to kind of flesh out the universe a little bit more. I don't know that it's going to have panels and so forth, although they certainly could have done panels, and I think that that's sort of what we've come to expect from CitizenCon.
well, I think at the very least, you and I would agree that we're expecting that keynote type of presentation in a video format. Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
yeah. Um,
It,
I
it's
think
it's the main point of they're supposed to be hyping you for the next year, right? Like
yeah.
that we get this whole lull period leading up to CitizenCon, and then they drop all this stuff on you that's like, oh yeah, okay, now I believe in the project again after I was burned out for the last 6 months.
Yeah.
That's essentially what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's like a drum up just before they try to slap you with the wallet slap your wallet at the sale for
Yeah,
need more pocket money, mum. Um,
I expect that they'll slap your wallet at the IAE anyway this year,
yeah.
regardless of what we get at CitizenCon.
Well, I've heard a few things. Like the one thing we talk about is the ships at different price points, and I've kind of heard that back through people through SC leaks and stuff again. That seems to be the case again. That there's going to be 3 ships again this year, and I'm not kind of really surprised by that at all. Obviously, I'm expecting the Odin, and believe it or not, I'm actually expecting the Odin, from what I've heard, to be the mid-range ship. Um, so
Oh
yeah,
boy, that's exciting.
something bigger coming. So finally, something else that's up there with the Idris and the Kraken. Fingers crossed, though. It is only just a rumor at this stage, and it's going through back channels. So yeah, fingers crossed for something big. Whether or not you buy it, I think we can all say that there's always something we're all looking forward to, like actually being on one day in the game. So that's what
Oh
I'm
yeah,
talking about there.
definitely.
Not talking about everyone looking forward to go, oh, he have more money. Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah.
um, the other part of it, I kind of want to talk about for a bit is we've talked about the past about obviously things that they could have done. So my point of view on that is this is an opportunity where they could have gone, well, let's see what CitizenCon's like if we make it exclusively online. And I like they often talk about the panels and that, but I actually think it would have been a really good discussion time to have devs in voice channels, um, almost like how we do with our streaming stuff. So right now we're streaming and there are people watching us as we record this. You could have done a similar thing where it's a Discord channel and it doesn't have to be like, it can be video like this and they're talking and there's just people listening. So it's kind of like a live it could be a Q&A. You could even bring guests in to talk to the devs and stuff like that. And if you do that on a mass scale, you could have had 100 rooms with different devs. It could have been really, really interesting if they'd done it properly.
Yeah.
Obviously a bit harder to organize with COVID, but it really could have been like an opportunity for, say, someone that has no chance of getting to one of the Citizen Cons to actually
Right.
meet those people. And I think that's my fundamental problem with Citizen Con. It really does seem to be for the select few. And
Yeah.
I'm talking about even people no matter where you're from, it costs a lot of money to get there unless you happen to just live in the city that it's in. And there's
Yeah.
obviously people that, they only have an Aurora because that's all they can afford, but they'll never ever get to experience CitizenCon because they just can't afford it. And I think that's my main problem with CitizenCon is it's exclusive, not inclusive. What's your thoughts on that?
I really like your train of thought as far as like the digital connectivity and having yeah, they could do a whole lot of different things with that. They could have developers do AMA panels.
Yep.
Sig Molly, I'm talking to you. You can make that happen. It's not too late. You got another
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
You could definitely have that level of engagement, which is if you look back at a lot of the criticism with CIG's communication, I think that the root of it is that lack of feeling of engagement from the community. And
Yeah.
this is exactly the sort of thing that people would drink it right up. Just a chance to ask questions of the developers directly.
Can you imagine if they even like as well as the keynote, they did like a 2 to 3 hour, take your pick, like how long ever they want to do it, where they just had Todd Pappy, the Pillow Talk people, Tony
Oh yeah,
Zerbeck, Sean Tracy, Todd Pappy, and the man himself, Chris Roberts, in a Discord sharing their video, and people could just come in and ask a question and then pop out, kind of like on Answer the Call, and we've tried a little bit on FC Leaks as well, something like
yeah.
that. That would go down so well.
They should do an SC answer the call.
Yeah. The last part, or not the last part, but there's something else I want to talk about. What are your expectations in regards to Squadron 42? Because I think this is the kickoff point. Are you thinking I'm a bit crazy there? Like I'm expecting something.
I think that this 100% a year ago today, the plan was for this CitizenCon next week to be the kickoff point for Squadron 42. I think there was going to be a big media campaign that kicked off at this point. I don't know if that's been put on hold because of the situation. And I don't know that it needs to be. If you have something, then you should definitely show us. But the fact that they haven't even been able to get 15 minutes of Brian Chambers talking into a camera figured out in 6 months doesn't really bode well for that situation, if you ask me.
Yeah, and there's been I had an inkling suspicion when I heard that they said soon. I just went, that's going to just be pushed into CitizenCon stuff. So I'm kind of half expecting some of that stuff, but then a lot of the stuff lately, I just don't think CIG knows what their community wants. One thing that you and I were talking about, to give another example, is we were talking with some of the patrons about the PU and how the PU used to be an opportunity for you to try out the new ship of that patch without having to buy it, and now all you see is the devs flying around in it. It's not.
Yeah, they're gating testing of these ships in alpha behind a paywall.
And then, let's be honest, there's every patch to patch, there's not really that much new that's added, and I don't understand why you would pay money for that ability to do so.
Let's think about like how it is right now. How should a testing environment be in an alpha? They should incentivize people to test things. That all the mission rewards should give you like a bonkers amount of UEC, like 1 million UEC per mission. And obviously that's not how it's going to be in the persistent universe. But right now, what you want to do is get people to play the game and test it out. And you need to give them as much as you can to incentivize that. So when people who, like you said a moment ago, people who can only afford an Aurora IRL come into this game, and then they can play for 2 hours and they can be flying around in a Caterpillar with their earnings, that's going to get a lot more participation.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the other part that it's just left my head as that happens. It always does that. I was talking. I've just lost it, so I'll come back to it in a couple of minutes. I'm sure that'll come back. But getting back to the part I was talking about in regards to the PU and stuff like that, I don't think subscriptions are as warranted as they used to be, because you were paying for a benefit, and I don't think there is any really benefit to getting a buggy mess a week before it goes to live, when you can just wait for live, and it's exactly the same thing. There's just not enough gameplay there. And I think people, after 4 years of burnout, because let's be honest, we're all sitting here waiting for Squadron 42 to get done so they can actually get started on the game we all really want to play. And like, don't get me wrong, I want to see Squadron 42. I think it's going to be fun, but you and me both would agree we signed up for
The persistent universe, yeah.
yeah.
And about the subscriptions, really, like I was a subscriber for multiple years, and I canceled my subscription. The impetus behind my canceling it finally was that it really all it became about was the flair of the month. And
Mm.
it's not like we discussed this previously on the show. You can wait several years at a time and then buy a 1 month subscription if
Yep.
you care about the flair that much, and then just buy a couple of pieces of flair
Not
and
to
miss the stuff
mention,
that you didn't like, the filler stuff. And the reason for the subscriber revenue was always supposed to be to generate the content.
yeah,
And they continue to do this thing, which they're doing right now. They're on a 3-week break at the end of their season. And even like, they don't need to do that.
they're
Even if you
taking
can't
a
find a
quarter of
developer to interview, you can still have Jared do like an
yeah.
AMA with the community. There's no excuse to be taking breaks when you're getting record high subscription revenue for the purpose of making videos.
Yeah.
No excuse at all.
So not even taking into account the summer break and all that, they actually take a quarter of the year off. So it's the
Yeah.
holidays plus a quarter of the year. That's
Yeah.
And they're and your subscribers are paying them for that, which is crazy. And that's when you add
Right.
it all together.
And
You've got to break it down and add it together. But when you add it together,
well, people in this community are throwing money at them, and you wonder why they act like they think they can do whatever they want. They can raise the prices of ships that
Yep.
have been released. They can go months at a stretch without telling us anything. Why wouldn't they think that they could do those things? They just keep getting money thrown at them.
yeah, well, the raising of ship prices has always been on the cards. I actually was surprised it happened sooner. They talked about it ages ago, and generally it was always going to be once a ship is released, and that's why you're seeing big jumps, like say with the Carrack, where it went from 350 to 575. But on ships that were already released, this is a first. But it is only $5, and I've heard so many people going, "Why are you guys bitching about $5?" But
Yeah.
it's more the principle of the 100i didn't need to exist because the 300i exists, and how can there be a $5 price difference between? Well, there would have been a $5 price difference. I think there's now a $10 or whatever. But the point I'm getting at is, like, when you get all the way to there at $55 to $60, why wouldn't you spend $10 more and just get the better one?
Right.
Yeah.
And the whole justification for it was they wanted to differentiate between the 100 and then those two ships, right? And
Yep.
then as soon as they did that, what did they do? They buffed the guns on the 100
Yeah.
series.
Now,
Therefore,
I would say
reducing the gap between the ships, like WTF.
yeah. For me, it would have been more like if it was like a $40 to $60 comparison, I could actually justify that. But when it's only $10, yeah, and you've gone that far, like I just I can't see why. And clearly in our book, the Avenger's still the better one, and excuse me, and that's just how it is. All right, so
Anyway,
I'm also expecting one of those starter ships or that sub $100 ship. I was wondering if it could possibly be the refinery ship, but would you see that being under $100? Because I don't.
I don't think so. No, not based on the functionality, unless it's like, God. So think about this. We have the mole and the prospector in game right now, and are you going to come to just think about how much refining a ship under $100 is going to be capable of?
Yeah.
If you show up with a fully laden mole, you're going to be there forever, like offloading 10% of your cargo hold at a time while it does its thing. I think the first refinery ship we have to get logistically is going to be bigger than $100 ship. I think we're more likely to see some kind of a starter ship, either from probably Drake would be my guess. I don't think it's going to be Crusader, because I personally have this feeling that we're going to get some big Crusaders themed event with direct to flyable Crusader ships when that planet goes live a quarter or two from now.
Yeah, the rumor is the big ship is some form of an attack ship, much like the Odin, so they're both attack craft. My kind of speculation for the smaller one, and you correct me if I'm wrong, and keep in mind the Hull A and the Hull B when I say this, and the film that we've seen, the Talon and the Shrek. What if it's the Zion cargo ship and it's under $100?
I'd be surprised if it was under $100 because they said it had around a 300 SCU cargo, so that would be analogous to a hull B, which
I've
itself,
yeah, I remember it being comparable to the whole B, and the whole B is like $90.
except for they just came out with a Talon without apparently an alien tax.
Yeah.
So I would have expected an alien hull B to be more than $100. Is my point.
So
Until the
what
Talon
if it
came out.
was $95 or $99? Like that would be a first if they made it exactly 99. But what would you think about that if they made it like $100?
I mean, I think I'd be more interested in the ship at that price point.
Mm.
I don't think it's going to be that cheap. That ship is going to be that inexpensive. I'm more expecting some sort of it probably under $100 is a lot of price points there. I think
Yeah, but
I'm expecting a
what
starship,
I'm
though it could be something else.
yeah, what I'm saying though is like we have a president in the whole B, and we've also got a president of the fact that the Talon and the Strike. I was so surprised where it was priced. I was expecting 150.
I was really
Yeah.
shocked. Yeah,
Yeah, so being COVID and that, it could be a thing again. That maybe that they probably don't have the finger on the pulse of the community, but they have the finger of the pulse of how people's wallets are at the moment. So maybe it's a more sensibly priced ship, but I guess we'll have to wait and see in that regard. All right, well, that's kind of what we're expecting. What are you guys expecting? What ships like? Use your knowledge, go back, look at what they've shown us over the last 12 months. What are you guys expecting? What we've seen through leaks and stuff like that. I'm expecting the Odin and either the refinery ship or the, I'll be honest with you, I'm actually expecting the refinery ship to be sold like the Mole, like in December after the anniversary sale. And I'd probably, the one I'm leaning towards is that cargo ship. And then this new rumored massive Kraken-esque Idris ship, but that's coming down. We're hearing these rumors, not confirmed, obviously, but they're both leaning towards cargo. And when I say that, I'm not cargo, so combat, and that's the Odin and whatever this big ship is. And I don't know. What do you think it would work if it was Crusader? But Crusader, I always think of the Jupiter, and that's not a combat ship. So
that's not a combat ship, at least from what little we've heard of it so far.
So if you, as we leave, then have a guess here, Osiris. Who would be sponsoring, or do you know who's sponsoring this year's CitizenCon?
I don't know, and I don't. I mean, like based on our earlier conversation, I'm not expecting a full blown CitizenCon. I think this, if you're expecting any sort of like.
I should have said anniversary sale because it's usually the ones that sponsor the anniversary sale. I believe it was.
Yeah. The IAE. Okay.
Yeah. So
well, again, I'm not expecting it to be Crusader because I just can't, like, I'm like a dog with a bone with this idea that there's going to be a Crusader themed event when Crusader goes live, and that's going to be like 6 months after the IAE. So I don't think it's going to be Crusader. I don't think we're going to get new Crusader ships at the anniversary sale. Last year we had
it was Anvil.
It was Anvil. Yeah. So I mean, it's a military. It
and
sounds like
had Drake the year before that, and Aegis the year before that. So I'd be really love to see something smaller like Consolidated Outland or RSI.
Yeah. Some of the other manufacturers need to get some love.
Yeah, RSI is an obvious contender as well, which I think it could be the case, especially if we're seeing the Odin and the Polaris.
If it's the Odin, yeah. And
so,
we also know that RSI makes bigger capital ships, so if there's something Kraken sized coming, it could be a 2-for-1.
So this has been the longest wrap-up ever, but yeah. Let us know what you think it could possibly be, as well as in the comments below. So, and what you're expecting for CitizenCon in general. As of the last few years, I'm going to say this way, I've got very low expectations for this CitizenCon. And I know there are people that go, it's not CitizenCon, it's everything but CitizenCon in name only. There have been CitizenCons without panel. Like it is, that's what it is. It's CitizenCon time. So whether they call it Timbuktu or CitizenCon, it really doesn't matter. That's
fake
what I'm
CitizenCon is what
I'm
calling it.
Digital con. Haters calling it Digizenzon or something like that. It's really, it's just jumbled all these words. And there goes my phone. So it's time to go.
Wouldn't be an Inforunners episode if it wasn't for Execute's phone.
It's the first time it's gone off in a couple of weeks, so it's been pretty good. All right, so he's been Osiris, I've been Execute, and we really got to get out of here. I'll see you guys in the next one.